Hello and welcome to yet another session of the Important Site series. In this series, we will be discussing all the important environmental sites and as well as the cultural sites, if any, from all the states in India, which are important for your examination. Now, today in this session, we will be discussing about all the important sites, all the important environmental sites that are located in the state of Gujarat. Now, when we say about the important sites, so important sites might include the tiger reserves, it might include the elephant reserves, it includes the biosphere reserves, the Ramsar wetland sites, the World Heritage sites, natural plus cultural plus mixed, as well as the biodiversity heritage sites under the Biological Diversity Act of 2002, the marine protected areas, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves, and community reserves, all under the Wildlife Protection Act of 2000 of 1972. Okay, starting with the first site today. The first site we have is a biosphere reserve. That is the Kutch Biosphere Reserve. It is situated in the Kutch district of Gujarat and spans over the run of Kutch, including the part of the Great Run, the Little Run, as well as the Bunny grassland. So, the spread of this Kutch Biosphere Reserve is in the Great Run, the Little Run, as well as the Bunny grasslands, and it lies on the Run of Kutch. It is dominated by the vast saline deserts, mudflats, seasonal wetlands, and coastal areas. It is bounded by the Arabian Sea to the north or to the south as well as to the west. So, in the south, we have the Arabian Sea, and in the west, we have the Arabian Sea. Important rivers that transfers through the area are the Luni River, the Rupen River, and the Banas River, having a seasonal flow. And it contains the famous Run of Kutch, which floods seasonally. Okay, the type of vegetation that it has is the desert and semi-arid vegetation, and halophytic, that is the salt-tolerant plants, are present in this entire saline zone. The grasslands, most importantly, the Bunny grassland, is the important vegetation feature with thorn scrubs as well as the dry deciduous patches. So, from this slide, all the important things that need to be kept in mind is the that it is located in the run of Kutch and it has saline deserts as well as the Bunny grasslands and major rivers including the Luni River, the Rupen River, as well as the Banas River. Important wildlife in the area is the Indian wild ass, chinkara, desert fox, and the caracal. The lesser florican is the bird species, the Haubora bustard, flamingos, as well as the pelicans. The marine species in the area include the dugong, the olive ridley turtles, and various crustaceans. The significance is that it is one of the largest biosphere reserves in India, covering over 12,000 square kilometers. So it is the largest biosphere reserve. It is recognized for its high biodiversity in the desert ecosystem. It supports unique migratory bird population, the cultural diversity. The important communities that live in this particular biosphere reserve are the Rabari, Ahir, Jat, as well as the most important Maldhari pastoral community. Okay, so Barni grassland, these Maldhari community or the people of the Maldhari community, these are pastoralists or they live in the Barni grasslands. And the area, this biosphere reserve, is famous for its handicraft, embroidery, traditional lifestyle adapted to arid conditions. Okay. Next, we have the national parks. So first, we have the Black Buck National Park. It is situated in the Velvadar in Bhavnagar district of Gujarat. It lies between the Gulf of Khambat on the south and the agricultural fields in the north. Okay, so this is the Gulf of Khambat. Geographical features include semi-arid region with flat terrain and open grasslands, seasonal wetland formed during the monsoon, and it has a proximity to the Gulf of Khambat, influences its climate as well as vegetation. So the important geographical feature that you have to keep in mind is the that it lies in the proximity of the Gulf of Khambat. The type of vegetation that it has, tropical grassland with sparse dried scrub, salt tolerant vegetation, and the Pro- Prosopis juliflora in some patches, which is a we know is a invasive species. The important wildlife in area, because it is known as the Black Buck National Park. So black buck is the largest uh, number of the black bucks are found here. The largest population of black buck is found in the Black Buck National Park. Other mammals include the Indian wolf, the striped hyena, golden jackal, and as well as the jungle cat. The birds includes the harriers, pelicans, flamingos, cranes, and larks, because pelicans and flamingos they are found in this Gulf of Khambat, in the proximity of Gulf of Khambat. The significance is that it was established in 1976 to protect the black buck population. It is recognized for its role in the conservation of the grassland ecosystem. Okay, so this entire ecosystem is a grassland ecosystem. It is one of the world's largest roosting grounds for the migratory harriers. So migratory harrier birds has their largest, one of the largest roosting ground or the nesting grounds here. It is important for ecotourism destination and supports local awareness among the grassland about the grassland biodiversity. Next, we have a very important, the Gir National Park, a one of its kind national park in the country. It is situated in the Junagadh, Gir Somnath, Amreli, as well as Bhavnagar districts of Gujarat, and it lies in the Saurashtra region. So, the location is the Saurashtra region. The geographical features include a hilly terrain of the Gir Hills. Okay, so we have Gir Hills here in this. This is the Saurashtra region, and this is the Kutch region of Gujarat. The lower is the Saurashtra region, this peninsular region. Okay, it has seven major perennial rivers. The Kamleshwar Dam is the largest water body inside the park. So the Kamleshwar Dam and the reservoir thus formed forms the largest freshwater body inside the park. The type of vegetation it has is the dry deciduous forest. The dominant species include the teak, acacia, and prosopis. It also has the riverine vegetation along the streams. The important wildlife, it is the Asiatic, only natural habitat in the world of Asiatic lion. Other mammals include the leopard, the striped hyena, golden jackal, sloth bear, four-horned antelope, nilgai, chinkara. It also has reptiles including the mugger crocodile and the monitor lizard. The birds includes the paradise flycatcher, the pygmy woodpecker, the crested serpent eagle. The significance is that it was declared first a wildlife sanctuary in the year 1965. And later on in the year 1975, 10 years later, it was declared as a national park. It is the only habitat of the Asiatic lion. Okay, as extreme as this statement sounds, but this is actually factually correct that this is the only habitat of the Asiatic lion, and it plays a vital role in the conservation and recovery from the brink of extinction. Okay, it is the last such site. It is important biodiversity hotspot in the semi-arid ecosystem, and it supports the Maldhari tribal communities living in the forest settlements practicing traditional cattle herding. So the important tribal community is the Maldhari community. Next we have is the Gulf of Kutch Marine National Park. Okay, Gulf of Kutch Marine National Park, located along the Gulf of Kutch. It is situated on the southern coast of the Gulf of Kutch in the Jamnagar district of Gujarat. It spread across the intertidal zone between the Oka and the Jodia. It is the first marine national park in India, established in 1982. It is the first marine national park in India, and it comprises of 42 islands which are mostly surrounded by the coral reefs. So the coral reefs population is also there, and the coastal habitats include the sandy beaches, the mud flats, mangroves, seagrass bed, shallow lagoons. It is influenced by high tide ranges and strong currents from the Arabian Sea, because it is lying on the coast of this Gulf of Kutch. The important vegetation, the type of vegetation here is the mangrove forest. Predominantly mangrove forests are there, which are and the seagrass meadows. The important wildlife include the dugong, sea cow, the Indo-Pacific humpback dolphin. Reptiles include the olive ridley turtle and the green turtle. There are coral species, there are reef fish, migratory birds, there are invertebrates. And the significance that we know that it was India's first protected marine ecosystem. It supports rich biodiversity adapted to the saline as well as the intertidal conditions. and it acts as a breeding and nursery ground for several marine species. It sustains the livelihood of the local fishing communities and promotes the ecotourism. The next national park that we have is the Vansda National Park. Vansda National Park. It is located in the Navsari district of Gujarat. It lies in the southern part of the state near the Sahyadri ranges of the Western Ghats. So Western Ghats somewhat starts from here only. Okay, in the southern part of Gujarat, the Western Ghats starts, and in the Sahyadri ranges of Western Ghats, this Vansda National Park is located. It is bounded by the Ambika River on one side, undulating hills they are there, and with the lateritic soil. So the geographical features include the presence of the Ambika River as well as the lateritic soil. It receives high rainfall due to the Western Ghats influence because it is a part of the Western Ghats landscape. Therefore, it receives high amount of rainfall. The type of vegetation, because it is receiving high amount of rainfall, that means tropical moist deciduous forest will be there. The dominant species include the teak, the sadad, the karanj, kher, mango, and bamboo. The important wildlife includes the mammals, leopards, hyena, jungle cat, rusted spotted cat, four-horned antelope or the chausinga, sambar barking deer. The birds includes the Malabar trojan, the paradise flycatcher, and emerald dove. The reptiles include the Indian rock python, cobra, Russell's vipers. Insects and butterflies in the of the Western Ghats origin are also found. It was declared a national park in the year 1979 to protect the unique moist deciduous forest of Gujarat. Okay, otherwise the Gujarat as a state has a drier form of vegetation, but this because the Vanstar National Park is part of the uh, Western Ghats landscape. That is why it has high amount of rainfall and has moist deciduous forest. It forms a part of the Western Ghats biodiversity hotspot and it is inhabited by tribal communities. The name of the tribal communities are very important. It is Bhil, Konkana, Varli, and Gangi. And these tribes have rich traditional forest knowledge. Next, we discuss the only conservation reserve that is in the state of Gujarat. That is the Charidand Conservation Reserve. It is situated in the Kutch district of Gujarat and lies in the Banni grassland region. Okay, and it is a seasonal wetland spread over 80 square kilometer in the arid zone and is surrounded by the saline desert, that is the Kutch desert. Okay, it is mainly fed by the monsoon runoff and dries up in the summer, so it is seasonal. The type of vegetation that it has, the grassland species such as Chanchors, the Sporobulus, and the halophytic plants, that is the salt-tolerant plants in the saline patches, and the scattered thorn scrub type of vegetation. The important wildlife here includes the bird species, including the critically endangered white rump vulture and the sociable lapwing. Other this white rumped vulture is of critical importance because it is critically endangered and is very important from the examination point of view. The species of vultures particularly are important because we are witnessing a decline in the vulture population. Other notable birds includes the common crane, the greater flamingos, the raptors. The mammals include the desert fox, the chinkara, and the carousel. The important staging ground for the migratory birds along the Central Asian flyway. So in India, we have three you know, routes for the migratory birds. One of that is the Central Asian flyaway. It was declared a conservation reserve in 2007 for the protection of the wetland biodiversity in the desert ecosystem. It is known as the birders paradise of the Kutch because of the high population or the greater presence of birds in the area. It supports the pastoral communities like the Maldharis who depend on the grassland for grazing the livestock. So Maldhari community or the Maldhari tribal group is an important community in the area. Okay. So it was declared a conservation reserve. The conservation reserves are also declared under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Next, let's discuss the Ramsar sites that are located in the states of Gujarat. First, we have the Nal Sarovar Ramsar wetland site. It is situated in Ahmedabad and Surendranagar districts and approximately 64 km west of the Ahmedabad city. It is a freshwater lake and marshland that spreads over 120 square kilometer. Okay, it is fed mainly by the seasonal monsoon rains and dries partially in the summer. It is surrounded by flat, semi-arid terrain. The type of vegetation here includes the aquatic vegetation such as water lilies, lotus, and submerged hydrophytes. It is surrounding grasslands and scrub vegetation is also there, and emergent vegetation like typha and phragmites. That is, emergent vegetation is that vegetation which has its roots in the uh, or on the bed of the water body, and it is coming out. Okay, it is coming out of the surface and it is rooted in the depth of the or at the floor of the water body. The important wildlife here includes over 200 species of birds are there, including flamingos, pelicans, spoonbills, and sarus crane and the lesser florican. The fish species include the rohu, katla, and the local varieties. It was designated as a Ramsar site in the year 2012 for its international importance as waterfowl habitat. It is one of the largest wetland bird sanctuaries in the state of Gujarat. So, this Nal Sarovar Ramsar wetland site is also a bird sanctuary. It is a major wintering ground for migratory birds from Siberia, Central Asia, as well as the Europe. That is it is a part of the Central Asian flyaway. It supports local communities, local livelihoods through ecotourism and traditional fishing, and it is associated with the pastoral communities like the Bharwad community and the Rabari communities who graze livestock in the surrounding areas. So, the important communities, the tribal communities here include the pastoral communities are the Bharwad, as well as the Rabari communities. Next we have is the Vadhavan Ramsar wetland site. It is situated in the Vadodara district and is 40 km from the city of Vadodara. It is a man-made freshwater lake and created by damming the Orsang River. It is surrounded by agricultural fields and semi-arid plains. Okay, and it serves because there are agricultural fields, so it functions as a irrigation reservoir. Okay, damming of this Orsang River has made this freshwater lake that is an important irrigation reservoir. The type of vegetation that it has is the aquatic vegetation as well as the marginal vegetation and agricultural crops like the wheat, paddy, vegetables in the nearby fields. The important wildlife in this Vadhavan Ramsar wetland site is the over 200 species of birds, including common pochard, the northern piltail, and the gadwall. It is globally threatened species like the Dalmatian pelican, the Pallas fish eagle, and the common crane. Significance is that it was declared a Ramsar site in the year 2021. That is quite a recently declared Ramsar site, and it is for its importance as the wintering and the staging ground for the migratory waterbirds from the Central Asia, Europe, and the Arctic. It acts as the key link in the Central Asian flyaway. Okay, it is a key part of the Central Asian flyaway and provides irrigation to the surrounding agricultural fields. Then we have the Thol Lake Wildlife Sanctuary, situated in the Mehsana district and partly in the Ahmedabad district. It is located 40 km northwest of the city of Ahmedabad. The geographical features include the shallow freshwater lake created in 1912 for the irrigation purposes. It is surrounded by flat, semi-arid and agricultural plains and is fed by monsoon rains and irrigation canals. The type of vegetation that it has, the aquatic plants such as lotus, water lilies and submerged hydrophytes. There is marsh vegetation and dry deciduous and scrub vegetation in the surrounding region outside the water body. Important wildlife includes the bird species, the migratory waterfowl, as well as the fish species. Significance is that it was declared the Ramsar site in the year 2021 and for its important wintering ground for the migratory birds. So all the three Ramsar sites that we have discussed till now in the state of Gujarat, they are an important part of the important wintering ground for the migratory water birds. Okay, and it is located on the Central Asian flyaway and provides irrigation water to the nearby agricultural areas. Okay, it is also a wildlife. It is also declared as a wildlife sanctuary. Next, we have is the Khijadia Wildlife Sanctuary. Khijadia Wildlife Sanctuary. It is located in the in the Jamnagar district and is located along the Gulf of Kutch coastline. So it is along the coastline, coastline of Gulf of Kutch in the district of Jamnagar. The geographical features include the combination of freshwater lake, the saltwater marshes, and the intertidal mudflats. It receives water from the Ruparel and the Kalindri rivers. So these two rivers, that is Ruparel as well as the Kalindri rivers, are important. The type of vegetation it has, because it is lying along the coastal zone, that is, it must be having the mangrove species as well as the tolerant halophytes in the coastal zone, the aquatic plants in the freshwater bodies, and the grasslands in the higher areas. The important wildlife includes the species of birds, the wintering ground for the migratory birds, especially the flamingos and ducks, and marine fauna includes the mudskippers, the crabs, and the mollusks. It was declared the Ramsar site in 2022, so it is the latest declared Ramsar wetland site in the state of Gujarat and is also a designated or a declared wildlife sanctuary. Okay, and it is declared for its unique mix of fresh water, the brackish water, and the marine habitats. So that is a very vital point that you have to keep in mind. It is among the very few Ramsar sites in India that have water, that is fresh water, brackish water, and marine habitats. So all the three type of habitats are there in this Khijadia Wildlife Sanctuary. It is crucial staging and wintering ground along the Central Asian Flyway. So all the four Ramsar wetland sites in the state of Gujarat, all of them are important part of the Central Asian Flyway. That is, they are important wintering ground for the migratory birds that are coming from the higher latitudes. That is from Russia, Serbia, Russia, Siberia, Arctic, or the Europe. And it's act as the natural barrier protecting the inland island from the coastal erosion. It provides livelihood to the local fishing communities. So these were all the important environmental sites from the state of Gujarat. In tomorrow's session, we will be discussing about all the important sites, all the important environmental sites, as well as the cultural sites that are in the state of Rajasthan. Thank you.